What's up, guys? It's your boy Light here, and recently I was scrolling on Reddit and I saw this really cool post that had a ton of upvotes about what it would be like if every state had a mascot Pokemon, and that really got me thinking. And so here I have devised a list of each of the 50 states and a Pokemon that can represent some aspect of it, whether it be maybe something in pop culture, something that the state is known for, or something of that nature. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the video and decide what the mascot Pokemon would be for every state in the United States. So starting off with number 1, we have Alabama. And for this one, I've seen people possibly suggest Cottony or Whimsicott because it's known for cotton production, but I want to go a different little more niche route that I think more Alabamians will probably respect, and that is Basculin, because Alabama is also known for bass fishing. So Sweet Home Alabama is represented by Basculin. Next up, we have Alaska, and for this one, I went ahead and chose Beartic for 2 reasons. 1, Alaska is often known for cold weather, for being frozen over. Beartic is an ice type, and Alaska is also known for having bears. So Beartic is the mascot Pokemon for Alaska. Next up, we have Cacturn, obviously for all the cacti. Maractus could also work here, but just Gen 3 preference, went with Cacturn here. Next up, Arkansas, we have Diancie for all the diamonds. This one's pretty self-explanatory. Next up, California, we have Goldango for 2 reasons. 1, it is the golden state, so it makes sense to have the golden number 1000 Pokemon. And California is also known for surfing, specifically in areas like Malibu. So 2 reasons, we got Goldango, who is that surfing golden Pokemon. Next up, we have Colorado. This one, we're going to go with Abomasnow because of the snowy mountains. Pretty simple one there. All those trees covered in the snow. Abomasnow fits right in. Next up, we have Connecticut. And for this one, I'm going to go with Sawsbuck because for all the autumn foliage. Delaware, we're going to go with Rhydon for the first Pokemon for the first state to ratify the U.S. Constitution. Then, you know this one from the thumbnail, Florida, we have Feraligatr for alligators. This one's pretty obvious. Then we have Georgia. I went ahead and went with Petrant, a very recent Pokemon, but Georgia is known for peaches, and there's not really any other peach Pokemon out there, but Petrant is right there. And I think that the kind of like purple and pink scheme can be very representative of like Atlanta and like Coca-Cola Factory and all that stuff. So I think Petrant is a pretty cool pick for Georgia. Next up, we're going to go with Hawaii. This one was a tough decision because there's literally an entire region just for Hawaii, obviously being Alola. But I went ahead and went with Oricorio because that really encompasses the hula dancing. That is a big pop culture aspect of Hawaii. And continuing on, Idaho, I went ahead and picked Carbink because it is known as the gem state. So obviously we had Diancie for Arkansas. We have Carbink, which is a semi-related but slightly different one for Idaho. Now for Illinois, this one took a little bit of thinking. I was thinking maybe Rotom Fan, Windy City, but I felt like that was a bit of a stretch. So I went ahead and went for something that's a little more representative of the state as a whole, not just for Chicago, and that is Tyrantrum. Because for one, Illinois, because of the Chicago aspect, is known for the use of fossil fuels, obviously Tyrantrum being based on a T-Rex. And on that same line, Illinois is also the home to the second largest and most complete T-Rex skeleton in the entire world. Fun fact. So Tyrantrum is the representative for Illinois. Next up, we have Revavroom for Indiana, and that's obviously for the Indy 500. I mean, come on, you got to pick the car Pokemon for that Indy 500. And moving swiftly along, Iowa, Talonflame, because it is the Hawkeye state. And I mean, that was a give me. I mean, I could see Decidueye here, because it is like the, Arrow, Hawkeye, like Avengers one. But if we're really going with like a Hawkeye Pokemon, Talonflame, I think is the better pick. Moving on, we have Kansas. We're going to go with Sunflora because this is the sunflower state. Pretty easy pick there. And another easy pick, Kentucky, Rapidash. It is literally known for horse racing. Louisiana, this one, I wanted to go with like a crawfish pick, and I was thinking corfish and crawdon, but they're not really, like, they're kind of between a crawfish and like a crab, so I didn't want to like misrepresent it too much. So I went with another aspect which Louisiana is known for, which is being the pelican state, and I picked Pelipper as the representative for Louisiana. Next up, we have Maine, and speaking of corfish, we went ahead and got corfish right here for the Maine lobsters, because corfish and crawdon are definitely much more lobsters than they are crawfish. I think the English translation makes crawdon sound like it, but I feel like it's a better pick for the Maine lobsters. Maryland, we've gone with Krabby for Maryland crabs. Massachusetts, this one is pretty deep back in history, but for the Salem witch trials, we've chosen Miss Magius as the representative for Massachusetts. Michigan, we're going to go with Lycanroc for having the most diversity of rocks. It's known for that wide variety that can be picked there. And for Minnesota, we're going to go with the Lake Trio. So all 3 of them, or we could pick one of them if we wanted, whatever is your favorite, but the Lake Trio are going to be the ones that represent Minnesota for having literally so many lakes. Mississippi, this one I often see on many lists. People just put Garbodor because it's the state with the worst stats and all that stuff. But you Mississippians, I'm not going to do you like that. I have gone with a great pick for you guys, and I've picked Swampert because it is a water ground type that reflects many of the state's rivers, wetlands, and it connects to the bayou and aquatic ecosystems. I think Swampert's a great pick for Mississippi. You guys do not deserve to have Garbodor. Moving on to Missouri, I went ahead and picked Zubat because it is the cave state. Montana is Avalugg for Glacier National Park. Nebraska, we have Mamoswine for being home to the largest mammoth fossil ever found. Nevada, Las Vegas, you already know we had to go with Meowth, Mr. Payday himself for gambling. New Hampshire, we have a Braviary for the live free or die license plates. New Jersey, we've gone with Bulbasaur because it's the garden state, and who doesn't love Pokemon number 1, Bulbasaur, Pokedex-wise? Don't worry, we know Rhydon's the first one ever designed, but Bulbasaur is number 1 in the Pokedex. That goes to New Jersey. New Mexico, we have Scovillain for hot peppers. I mean, there's only one question they ask you want red peppers or green peppers. It's not an option of none. So Scovillain is the representative for New Mexico. New York, there was a lot of things that could have fit here. I thought about Hydrapple because it's the big apple, obviously, for New York City. But there's another thing that New York is known for, and specifically the reason that one of these Pokemon is even in the Unova games, and that is Pidove for New York City pigeons. North Carolina, I've gone with Carnivine because this is the Venus flytrap state. So Carnivine is the most fitting. North Dakota, we have Combee for being the state with the most honey production. Vespiquen could work here too, but Combee is like literally in the shape of a honeycomb, so it makes a little more sense. Also, Vespiquen is the queen bee, but Combees are the ones that produce the honey for the queen bee. Ohio, we have CDOT for being the Buckeye state. Oklahoma is Tornadus for tornadoes, pretty obvious. For Oregon, we have Bebarrel, as it is the beaver state. You could also put Bidoof here, but I think Bebarrel is a little more representative because it gains that water typing. Pennsylvania, we have Bronzong for the Liberty Bell. I mean, it's basically modeled after a bell, so that one makes sense. And that history aspect is pretty chill. Rhode Island, we have the smallest Pokemon for the smallest state, and that award goes to Joltik. South Carolina, we've gone with Alolan Executor for the Palmetto tree. For South Dakota, we have Gigalith, and that's representative of Mount Rushmore, obviously a very big aspect of what South Dakota is known for. Tennessee, we've gone with Meloetta because it's all about music, and we all know how Tennessee loves those honky tonks and country music. Texas, Tauros, this one was obvious. It's the rodeos, the Longhorns, you gotta go with Tauros. Utah, we've gone with Garganackle because the salt flats, it's pretty representative of that area, and it feels like Garganackle was almost made to represent that. Vermont, I've gone with Dipplin for being heavily associated with syrup. I mean, the way that you evolve Applin into Dipplin is literally with a sweet, syrupy candy apple. And this is kind of a reason I didn't go with Hydrapple for New York. So I didn't want too much overlap from the same evolution line on that. But moving on, Virginia, we have Love Disc because Virginia is for lovers. Washington, we have Kyogre because Kyogre's ability to drizzle explains all of the rain in Seattle all the time and much of Washington. Then we have West Virginia, which is represented by Colossal for coal mining. Wisconsin is Miltank for its huge dairy industry. And finally, last but not least, Wyoming is represented by Bouffalont for the prominent buffalo on the state flag. So there you have the mascots, or at least a couple of different mascots for each of the 50 states. That's my opinion on it. Let me know if you would have changed any of the states. If you're from some of these states, which one you would want to be your mascot. Remember, this is just my opinion, but I'm definitely open to hearing what your guys' ideas are too. So definitely go ahead and drop them down in the comment section below. But yeah, please be sure to go ahead and drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. It's been your boy Cezilite. I'll see y'all next time. Peace out.